So everyone's been talking about how our attention spans have gotten shorter, and this is a long video. So you think you can keep up? Here's the day. I just watched Fightclub. I know, I'm late to the party. But it just occurred to me, it's a 3-hour movie. And for the most part, I accepted the idea that our attention spans have gotten shorter. Because I would constantly be affected by the scroll. Like, I wouldn't even finish an entire TikTok. But something did make sense. But if our attention span were that short, Netflix wouldn't be as successful, movie theaters would be empty, and couples wouldn't really fight because it would be a minute before the next discussion on another topic. And I know a lot about being a couple.
They ask you how you are, you just have to say that you're fine when you're not really fine, but you just can't get into it because they would never understand.
But you might be asking, what really sparked all of this conversation? It was this. Oh wait, sorry. This. It's a goldfish. I couldn't really order one, so this is all I have.
We'll have the attention spans of a goldfish, so now we are going to write articles for goldfish.
Asked you guys on Instagram who felt like your attention span was getting worse. Overwhelming response was yes and one thing, TikTok.
Everything's TikTok right now. We have the attention span of, ADHD.
Literally, people don't have any attention span anymore, ruining the attention span of the next generation.
As a whole, society is shrinking our attention span.
I've got the attention span of a wallet.
So here's the scoop. Microsoft publishes the study that says our attention spans have gotten shorter than 8 seconds. Yeah, 8 seconds. And naturally, you look into it. Turns out Microsoft's marketing team sourced this data from Statistics Brain, who don't have a credible source themselves. But at this point, it's already too late. Everyone's kind of picked it. Executives, the internet, and the wonderland of motivational speakers. So what do the books say about it? Okay, this is the wrong book. Can we get the right book? So Rudolf Beger, in his book, simply puts it as the amount of time spent concentrating on a work before getting distracted. The weight of the words is in amount of time spent concentrating and on a task. Because you might be sitting on a presentation for 8 hours, but how much time have you truly spent on it? For the most part, it's really difficult to measure. But there's one way to find out. The bloody smartphone gives you all the answers and all the problems. So let's get into it. So there may be 3 things I want us to focus on in this video. What is attention span and how does it work? And what's the current state of things in terms of consumption and practice? And in this video, I'll try different things from the internet on how to improve my attention span. And here's why it's a problem that we really need to look into. It not only affects us at work, can cause anxiety, but when was the last time you enjoyed a full conversation with your friends without actually picking up your phone? Honestly, I don't remember the conversation I had with my friends last weekend, but I remember conversations I had 5 years ago. So I tried to see how much effect my phone was having on my work. So I noticed every time I unlocked my phone, it would take me at least 15 to 20 minutes to get back into my zone of focus. So I tried to read into this a little bit more. And turns out there is something called switching cost. And this whole cost of switching between tasks can cost you up to 23 minutes per this study. Well, here's that study that says this, link in the bio. Well, that does sound confusing. Cooks do that all the time. Now that is a fair point. Well, turns out this applies mainly to novel tasks or tasks that require thinking. Usually when you're cleaning or cooking, a lot of times you involve your muscle memory, which means these tasks have already formed neural pathways in your brain, which means they're stored long term. While in the case of tasks that require thinking, they are in somewhat called a working memory, which means it's part of your temporary storage. Basically, if you had to visually represent it, it would be thinking, action, thinking, action. And so if you add any form of disruption to it, your thinking flow will just naturally take more time because you have to first get back to the context of thoughts you had. It's kind of like starting a tractor, right? Starting a tractor takes time, you turn it off, start it again. So naturally there's that time that's lost in turning it off and turning it on, which is what they describe as switching cost. The way the problem is presented to us is that humans have a very short attention span, and essentially we prefer and can focus on short form content. But when you look at it, it seems like it's been widely exaggerated for a big part. Now, is it true that short form content is growing? Yes. Well, that's because it didn't exist at this rate before. It's like if we had to look at 30, 40 years ago, Even now, yes, obesity is growing, but that's mainly because of how and what we consume. It's not in the inherent nature, it's the environment. And when you compare the growth of fast food and short form content, it has a few similarities: easier to manufacture, lesser oversight, and faster to distribute. Quick, and many options. It has an interesting parallel if you think about it, which I would also point out that yes, this does seem like an argument of convenience. But let's just hold on and look into this with some more data and my personal journey with this problem. What particularly bothered me was my average screen time, which should appear over here anytime now. What bothered me more is the amount of times I unlocked my phone in a day, in a week, in a month. More than 2,000 times. Oh my, like why? Why? But trying to fix my attention span isn't something new. I've tried many things in the past. Tried turning off my notifications, tried changing my phone, deactivate my social media. But the problem was they were just like diets. It was nice when you were on it, but you're back at it the moment you turn around. And you just go back to eating all of that crazy stuff. Hello? Hey, hello? Yes. So if I could design something, it had to work long term, like a fitness plan. So here's my strategy. So it's clear, my biggest distraction is my phone. And studies show that even if your phone is near you, it could distract you even if the notifications were turned off. The goal is to reduce two things: screen time to 60 minutes per day and unlocks to maximum of 30 times a day, which is more than enough time that I need to actually unlock my phone, because 30 times is like 3 times an hour. No, that's not 3 times. 2 times an hour, sorry. Which is more than enough time that I actually need. And of course, like I said before, it has to be a sustainable practice, something that I can scale. I can't just go cold turkey and then return back to my original state. Also, the goal isn't to create like a power vacuum sort of situation. Of course, a big part of the idea is to have a schedule in place so that that vacuum amount of time doesn't feel like I have nothing else to do. But let's start by identifying moments where we've had peak attentions and why we did so. There are a few key moments I remember. Watching a movie in a theater, being under pressure, while doing sports, because otherwise that would be hilarious, while I am motivated for whatever reason, or being around people that I value or I have limited time with. So let's break it down. So there's 2 questions here. What's going on in my brain when these activities are happening? And 2, can I somehow replicate them in my day-to-day activities? With the goal of somehow improving my momentary focus at any given time. When it came to understanding these different aspects, there are a few things happening. When you're doing physical workouts, your brain releases endorphins, which can improve sense of well-being. Plus, it helps you relieve yourself from stress. While watching a movie in a theater, one of the big reasons we are able to focus more is just because of the auditory and visual environment. And in the third case, when you're under pressure to deliver something, your body releases hormones called cortisol, which are for fight or flight responses. And these chemicals basically heighten your alertness, improving your focus temporarily. But of course, having a fight or flight response isn't sustainable or healthy all the time. And like I said, this needs to be sustainable. So the first step was kind of designing a work environment that is less distracting. Okay, that's out. And first thing first, we move the phone out of the way. The other thing is, if physical activity can heighten our focus, let's introduce that in between each focus. And this would be a 5-minute walk that would go in between every hour. But what about setting pressure? The way I'm going to approach this is set accountability. The challenge I have with, let's say, producing videos, for example, I'm not technically accountable to anyone so far. So I don't necessarily have a deadline with things. But what if I did 2 things? 1, hired someone or partnered someone to work with me, and 2, maybe hire a personal coach. And this is something I've been looking into. Basically, it's like a gym coach, but just for your personal self. See if a personal coach can keep me in line with things. Now, with all of this in place, here's what we're gonna do. Measure and reflect at the end of each day, set a tracker, and then at the end of each week, basically recorded the outcomes. And then let's see how far we get in 2 weeks. This is currently my average screen time that I spend on phone, and let's see what it gets to in the next 2 weeks. But before I forget, there are two things that are pretty cool over here. One, I'm gonna be using this app. It's called App Usage, which gives me detailed data on my phone usage and also allows me to export it. And two, I'm gonna start using this app which is called The Minimalist, which basically turns my phone into a minimal layout without a lot of colors. Ignore the notification sound. Okay, allowed to send you notifications. I thought that was the point. Some permission. Hopefully they don't take over my phone. And that's it. I mean, I still need to figure out how this works, and then you have all your apps over here. And you can add to favorites and that will show up on your home screen. Let's see how this goes. So see you in 2 weeks. No, actually, I'll see you in 1 week for an update and then 2 weeks for the final update. So yeah, this isn't the weekly update. Here we are 6 months later. Now, I wasn't really able to achieve what I planned in terms of reducing screen time and have weekly updates on the action points. It worked out really well initially with all the habits and rules, but I faltered sooner than I planned. But over time, I was still able to achieve 3 key things. 1, reduce my usage of social media. 2, even in terms of WhatsApp usage, I was able to reduce it quite drastically. 1, by separating essential and non-essential WhatsApp conversations, and 2, prioritizing my use of desktop rather than the phone. The other is usage of my phone before sleeping and after waking up. I've been able to kind of eliminate that need completely. I think the biggest mistake was in trying to introduce all principles in one go, and that didn't really work out that well. While the first few weeks were definitely exciting, it quickly faltered out. I couldn't keep track. While it didn't go exactly the way I wanted, I'll definitely be trying again with a more principled approach, just to see if I can get to 60 minutes of daily screen time. If you watched still this far, thank you. It does sound a little awkward saying thank you to a camera.